G'day, welcome back to the channel. My name's John. Behind me is my ED Falcon project car, which if you've never watched the channel before, we picked this up late last year for an absolute steal from the salvage options. We paid 700 bucks for it, got it delivered, did a bit of work to it, got it on the road, and I've been driving it ever since. And it's been awesome, to be honest. It's been great to get behind the wheel. But a few other little gremlins definitely started to show themselves. Transmission issues, brake issues, fairly major oil leak from the front of the engine. I'll show you guys. And so I haven't been putting out a lot of content lately. It's basically since that $500 FG G6 that we picked up a few months ago. Things have just been so busy, work, family, life. I have been getting a little bit of time on this here and there, but yeah, it just hasn't been able to be filmed really. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to record audio with it, so it's just been tough. So really wanted to let you guys know the ED is definitely still here. It's not going anywhere. I've got big plans for it, and I want to show you guys what I've done, what some of those plans are. Also show some of the cool spare parts that I've managed to pick up. Started hoarding a few bits and pieces just to make sure that we've got plenty of spares on this mission. So anyway, let me flip the camera around and I'll start showing you guys some of the action.
Starting up the front, if you remember in that first video, we did a whole bunch of work on the front suspension. We got all new ball joints in the front, but I didn't replace the brakes or the wheel bearings. So the wheel bearings were actually okay, but it turns out the brake discs were really badly warped. So I ended up putting a set of DBAs on the front with some Bendix Ultimate pads. That's obviously completely fixed that issue. While I was at it, I put some new front wheel bearings in it. I haven't got the center caps back on here as I was actually still road testing the car to try and get them, you know, through some heat cycles so that I could just put the thermometer on here, put the little heat gun on here, and just make sure that the temperature was pretty even left to right, which from memory it was. Car's been off the road for a couple of weeks now, and I'll show you why in a minute. But yeah, up the front, we ended up putting new brakes on it. So that's all good and ready for the drag strip eventually. Underneath the car, oh, sorry for being blinded by the light. Get that out of the way. So we had really badly worn, what do you call these? Sway bar link bushes. So these were like, the ones that were on here were the factory rubber ones or aftermarket rubber ones, but they were about like 5 millimeters high. They were all squashed and ballooned out. So put these nice olefane ones in there on obviously both sides. The other issue I had as well is I had a knock in the front suspension. If you guys remember back to that first video, every time I hit a bump, there'd be like a knock in the front. It was actually front left is where I heard it. And what it turned out to be, which was super basic, was these sway bar D bushes. So they were just flogged out and super loose. So every time I went over a bump, and especially with these in, the link wasn't moving. The actual bar was knocking up and down. So whip them off, put some olefanes in there as well. So that knock is now fixed, which is awesome. So front suspension wise, I mean, it's had a lot of TLC at this point, a lot of TLC, which is great. A couple of things left to do. So these front strut rod bushes, I had it. They're not bad, but they definitely need doing. So they're next on my list, but I'm actually waiting for some more parts to arrive. So I'll tell you about them as we go through the video. And this is my other big problem at the front of the car, which I'm yet to address, is we've got a pretty decent oil leak going on here. And so I believe the front timing cover and front main seal are dripping. Absolutely dripping with oil. So I'll see if I can get, and like it's everywhere. And this is just sitting. I haven't driven this car in weeks. So that, hopefully that's coming across. Yeah, that might be a bit better. I see it coming down off the side of the alternator bracket there. There's a couple more upgrades that I want to do, because to get the front timing cover gasket seals, that front timing cover seal behind the balancer replaced, like all of this has got to come out, right? So what I picked up is I've got a set of EL thermo fans to replace the clutch fan, because obviously once we go turbo in this, depending on what ECU I end up running, whether it's J3, Haltech, I want to be able to control these fans. So potentially have them on a relay with like a thermostat controlling it, like in the upper radiator hose or something here, and then be able to have an override switch. So if I'm at the drags or something, or even just, you know, towing the trailer on drag challenge, I'll be able to turn them on. So that's something that I want. I just don't think this is going to really cut it for me, unfortunately. So I've got them to drop in. What else did I do under the bonnet? It's got brand new spark plugs in it. We had an idle issue. Again, if you guys remember back to that first video, I want to test drove it, which I think is video number 3. The second one on fixing the car, we had an idle issue. So every time you'd start the car cold, the revs would go up and down and up and down and potentially stall. You'd have to start it back up, sort of hold the revs up before the car would idle. So I replaced the idle control valve, the idle control solenoid down here, this fella, with one from TI Performance. So that has fixed the issue. I'll see if I can find the clip and I'll drop it in here. That was my head. Because the idle is so smooth now. I can't start the car because reasons I'll show you under in a minute. But the idle is so smooth now, it's perfect. It's perfect. I don't think I really did anything else under here. I do have some headlight globes to throw in it because it's like driving with 2 candles. Obviously, once we get this front main, we'll probably take the radiator out to do all this front of the motor work. So I've got, I think it's, yeah, it's this hose. Don't know if you guys can hear that, but it is hard and very crusty. So this one's all right. This one's been replaced at some point, but I've got a lower radiator hose, a Maychuck, a water pump thermostat, some fresh coolant in it, maybe a trans cooler because these lines are going to be off. Like, sort of, where do you stop? And this is kind of what the last couple of months has been. It's like, I'll tell you in a minute about it. I started to do the rear brakes and man, it just snowballed, absolutely snowballed. So I feel like this is the next snowball effect. So anyway, that's the front of the car. Let's go down the back. Right, I stopped halfway because transmission. So if you remember, we changed the trans fluid in this, and also on that test drive, as the transmission got hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter, it started to slip real bad between gears. A little bit of research led me to that being the S5 solenoid. That controls the shift pressure during the change, which I believe is the same one that like the shift kits and things change to give you those real hard shifts without the slip. So I ended up taking that on myself, which turned into a huge drama. Ended up stripping and breaking one of these bolts in there because my torque wrench was set incorrectly. Unfortunately, that's on me, I'll own it. So we ended up having to back one of these out, re-tap it. It was an absolute nightmare. Luckily, I've got a couple of spare BTRs, which I'll show you in a minute. But you know, I got the right bolts out of there and stuff to replace it, but ended up putting a upgraded S5 solenoid in here. So it runs slightly increased pressure, which is great. It's really firm, which I quite like. Put some fresh fluid in there, and this is now fixed. Aside from having those nice firm shifts, this thing runs absolutely perfectly now, which is great because I didn't want to have to really pull it out and swap it yet. I'd probably rather send the clutches to the moon first with boost, and then worry about having to replace it with one of the spare transmissions I've got. I do have a new mount for this. I do have new mounts for the engine as well. We'll go through my parts box in a minute. You'll see there's exhaust disconnected and handbrakes disconnected under here. There is also no tail shaft. So we'll talk about that in a second. Anyway, I said we'll go to the back of the car, so let's go see what's going on down there. All right, the back of the car, and there's a whole lot of stuff missing here at the moment. So this started out as a brake job, and so I knew we had a sticking rear caliper. So these are the old calipers, and I think it's this one. Yeah, the boot is absolutely stuffed. The piston is quite rusted and quite corroded. The slide pins were also super dry and corroded. They got lots of pitting on them. So I did try greasing them up, cleaning them up. It fixed it for a little bit, but to be honest, it still grabbed. So you can see the amount of meat on these pads. And then this is the amount of meat from this other caliper. So these have been dragging for a while. They used to drag when you first start the car after you release the handbrake. You could also feel it applying differently when you put your foot on the brake. Sort of one side kind of walk like that as you put the brakes on. It felt weird. So I knew I had to do rear calipers at least, and I might as well put rotors and pads in it because try not to half do things, although trying to stick to some sort of budget. So in another unbelievable score, I managed to score brand new old stock calipers, rotors, which I didn't end up using, lines, brackets, basically the whole rear brake assembly, brand new, that a guy was going to put on his Jeep way back in the day. Lovely old fella. And so I managed to score that. I ended up giving him 50 bucks for it because I felt guilty. But even at 50 bucks, absolute score. So we've got the new rear calipers hung on here. I had started to put the new rear discs. I've got brand new rear discs to go on as well. Brand new Bendix GCTs to go on here as well. And then I felt this. So it's even going to do it sitting here. It's probably not going to do it now because it's been inspected. But that noise that you can hear, I thought that was the bearings. And so I pulled the diff out and sent it across to a diff shop. And then they pulled the rear hat off, had a look inside, and they told me that everything was okay. It was a little bit worn, but the mesh was good on the rear gears. The pinion bearings were okay. The wheel bearings showed signs of some pitting. But otherwise they were runnable. They adjusted it, they put it back in, sealed it back up, gave it back to me. I elected to do that and not go and put a limited slip in here because actually this does not have a limited slip in it. So despite having that high performance tag on it, this does not have a limited slip. So this has 28 spline axles because of the towing package, I believe, but no limited slip center section. It's still an open 308. So it would have cost me about 3.5 grand to put all new bearings in this, an LSD, and like 345s or 37s. So I elected not to do that at the moment. I'm gonna wait until we've got boost, and then that way we can have a look at what the trap speed is across the finish line and then pick the right gear ratio, etc, etc. So felt a little bit cart before the horse. So that's why the rear diff's out. The rear shocks are also very, very tired. The bushings on the trailing arms were also split, almost split in half. So brand new upper arms with poly bushes. I've got brand new lower arms. I think they still have rubber bushes in them, but it's just what I could get assembled. I've got new brakes to go on, as I said. The other little thing that I did in the rears as well is I did those same rear sway bar bushes, the link bushes. So the D bushes are okay, but I did the links as well because they were like 20 bucks on sale. So pretty much gonna have mostly new suspension bushes front to rear, which is fantastic. This thing should feel a lot better going down the road. So at the moment, the rear diff's out of the car. The rear suspension's obviously out, the trailing arms are all out, the exhaust is disconnected, the handbrake is disconnected. There is a lot of work to do to get this car ready. And of course, those of you that live in Northern Australia and Queensland, we have our All Ford Day coming up in like 2-3 weeks time. It's on the 20th of July. So depending on when I put this video out, we are kind of pushing it to make it to that event. So I have these trailing arms hopefully coming this week. The other exciting thing I've ordered is I've ordered shocks and springs. So I've got some shortened shocks and some King's Super Lows coming. So hopefully that'll give us a nice drop, because look, I'm here. The springs are on the floor over there. The shocks are, you know, 70% of the way out the car. So I might as well do it now. Obviously the front I'm gonna have to disassemble, but that's fine. So we'll put the lowered shocks in, hopefully get all of this assembled, get the new brakes on the rear, get it bled, hopefully make it to All Ford Day. So moving on to the spare parts portion of my update for you all is what's hiding under all of this. So this was another awesome marketplace score that I dragged the family along to because I needed to pick it up ASAP before someone else did. You see what it is yet? Come on. There we go. Oh, I brought the dipstick with me. Come on. There we go. Look at that, it's about half full. So, I managed to pick up a spare motor out of an ED. So I got this and the BTR for 250 bucks, which was awesome. It is complete. The guy did a V8 conversion. He's making a really cool GT mock-up. It looks fantastic. Shout out to him, absolutely amazing build. But he obviously didn't need any of this anymore. So apparently this had 134,000 Ks on it. Believe it or not believe it, I don't really care. It's a spare motor and it is complete. So all the ignition side, factory exhaust manifold, the heat shield, fuel rail, all the wiring loom, you know, nothing is cut. Nothing is cut. Everything has been disassembled and removed. So the only thing I had to do was pull the fan off the front here to be able to get it in and out of the trailer, because this and the gearbox was longer than my 6x4 trailer, unfortunately. So it's just chilling here at the moment. So it's got a 91 AA head, so it's original head, unlike the engine that's in this, which has the AU, has the WR2A head. So yeah, this has got original head in it, good looking gaskets, you know, not a lot of oil on it. It looks kind of tired, but kind of reflects the Ks. So this is a good one for me to hang on to, just here in case, or when we put a rod through the block or crack a ringland, I don't know. Whether we put this in stock, I don't know. We could build this as well. I've got some Barra pistons and rods if you wanted to do something cool. They're stockies though, so they're probably no better than what's in here. Yeah, it's just a good spare parts engine. So we'll keep this one here, and yeah, if we need it, we need it. It was a good score though. It was a good score. It's pretty clean inside too. Don't know how much you'll be able to see in there, but yeah, she's pretty shiny. Not a lot of sludge that I can see through the filler, or even down there as well with a torch. It was pretty clean. So yeah, good score, good score. All right, here we are in the back shed with a couple more scores. So this is a BTR out of an AU, the unknown amount of Ks, but I have read the AUs have the best compromise in parts. From what I understand, they're pretty strong. They can handle about 300 kilowatts if you keep them cool, and do the S5 solenoid with either a shift kit, or if you've got an adjustable one, turn it up just to get that slip out of them, which basically keeps them cool. So this has got my engine stand bits and pieces on it at the moment, because I'm planning to stick it up there and just have a bit of a look, take the pan off, have a look, see if it's any good or not. And then this one is the BTR that came off the ED motor. So this is just another straight up spare if I ever needed one to drop directly in. Again, I know nothing about it. It's a little bit wet down the side there, but it is obviously the dipstick model, so we know it's from the ED. The rear seal is stuffed. All of the bushings are stuffed in the back of these. That knocks up and down. And this one is just as bad. This one's like stirring freaking cake mixture or something. It's terrible. Anyway, that's I actually want to get this up on the stand and take this off so I can figure out how to press that bush out, because I'd love to be able to do it in these two transmissions as well as the one that's in my car now. So yeah, this one's got the speedo, everything's still in it. This one obviously doesn't, because he would have kept that to put his V8 box in the other car. But two good spare BTRs, which is fantastic, right? That's what we need. In this little box of tricks, hey, this is the fun box. So I have some bits and pieces off the engine, which is fine, the start of the alternator. I've got two spare ECUs as well, because one came with the engine. So I can't remember which one. That one. So that came with the engine and transmission that I have. The plan, or the reason that I've got both of these is, this was like 20 bucks. This came with the engine and gearbox. But if I go J3 chip, I've got practice ECUs, which is great. Secondly, if I go Haltech, I've got pins. So we can pull one of these apart. We can desolder this off the main circuit board in there, and we can use this as an adapter, so I don't have to butcher the wiring in the car. We can make a nice little plug and play loom to go into the Haltech or whatever ECU, it'll probably be a Haltech, that I end up using to control the engine once it's got boost. So nice little scores in there. What's this? It's quite an obvious score in here, isn't there? So this is a 3582 from I believe it's from a oh, listen to that. Yeah, she's tired. It's from a BF XR6 Turbo, or F6, I don't really know. Anyway, it is got the bigger front housing on it. It's just got the standard 106 rear with the Ford housing. But what it is a great core. So this was 50 bucks. Knowing full well that she's very tired. It's got a chip missing, or part of the wheel missing here. So it needs a core. The core is about 280 bucks off eBay. So we potentially re-core it. If it's completely useless, I can always resell it to someone else that wants to put the time or wants a spare cover or housing. The other thing that this has got, which kind of made it worth grabbing, is it's got a 40mm gate welded into the rear housing, and the standard internal wastegate has been welded up. Oh, look at the oil leaking through the back. Yeah, she's pretty tired. And so if I want to go external gate for better boost control, I've got a spare housing. So it was worth spending the 50 bucks to grab it, even if it's for nothing other than just mocking it up on the manifold that I've got. And then finally, these are the EL thermofans that I've got. So the guy gave me both of them. He wanted 50 bucks for each originally, gave me both for 50. These are both okay. This one's super dirty. So we have tested them, they do work, which is fantastic. So these are both okay. This one's got one that's really noisy, and then one that's okay. So if nothing else, I've got a spare fan here. Maybe use this surround. I think this one's just dirty though. I don't think either of them are broken. But we'll have to figure out how these bolt in. I've got an aftermarket style radiator in the ED already. Oh, hello, Mr. Daddy Longlegs. Off you go. Off you go. See ya. And so I believe they already have the tabs to mount these on. I don't know what I'm going to do about the intake. Obviously, it'll only be a problem once it's naturally aspirated. Once it's got boost, mounting that little snorkely bit here won't be a problem because it's not going to exist. But yeah, this is definitely something I want to get in, give us better cooling, etc. So very exciting.
Alrighty, well, I hope you guys enjoyed that update on where I'm at with the ED. As I said, we've made good progress on it. I'm sorry that I haven't been able to film a whole heap of it, but there's definitely a lot of stuff going on with the car, and it's still very much a project for me and will be for the rest of the year without a doubt. So in terms of goals, all forward day on the 20th is definitely goal number 2, because goal number 1 was to get the car on the road, and well, we've already done that. Now it's back off again as it goes. The second goal or third goal is drag challenge. So I still want to boost this thing. As you guys saw, I've got a turbo, I've got a manifold. So the goal is still to boost it, get some sort of engine management sorted, and then hopefully make in the neighborhood of 220 to 250 kilowatt at the wheels, and nab that 11 or 12 second pass. My XR6 turbo back in 2018, it was an FG, made 300 kilowatt at the reels and ran a 12.2. Really wanted to get that car in the 11s, but was just too scared to stall it up on the line. So basically just drove it away as if I was driving away from the lights and ran a 12.2. I would really love to get this thing in the 11s. That would definitely be a goal. So you'll see that on the channel. You'll also see all the suspension work on the channel as well, hopefully. So I'm waiting for the shocks and springs to arrive and those rear upper trailing arms as well. So hopefully they're here in the next week or two and I can put together another video. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you on the next one. See you.